Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today is Saturday. It is 14th of September. It is Bhadra Masa or Shikesha Masa, Sukla Paksham and Ekadasi Tithi. So today it is Pashva Ekadasi or Vamana Ekadasi. So fasting from grains, beans, cereals, and all kinds of grains and any kinds of the fruits which have got large number of seeds. So these are the available things. So we shall read a few lines from the Ekadasi perspective. Pashpa Ekadasi from iskandesati.com. Shri Yudhishthira Maharaj asked of Lord Shri Krishna, what is the name of that Ekadasi that occurs during the light fortnight, Shukla Paksha of the month of Bhadrapada? Who is the worshipable deity for this Ekadasi and what merit does one attain in observing it? Kindly reveal all of this to me, my Lord. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, addressed his devoted Yudhishthira as follows. This Ekadasi, O Yudhishthira, is called Vamana Ekadasi, and it bestows upon those who deserve it both great merit and ultimate liberation from material bondage. Therefore, because it removes all one's sinful reactions, it is also called Jayanti Ekadasi. Just hearing of its glories frees one from all his past misdeeds. So auspicious is this fast that observing it bestows the same merit as that earned by performing a hot sacrifice. There is no better Ekadasi than this, because it awards liberation so easily. Thus, if one truly desires uh, freedom from the punishing material world, one should fast on Vamana Ekadasi. While observing this holy fast, a Vaishnava should lovingly worship the Supreme Lord in his form as Vamana Dev, the dwarf incarnation, whose eyes are like lotus petals. By doing so, he worships all other deities as well, including Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And at death, he undoubtedly goes to that abode of Sri Hari. In all the three worlds, there is no fast that is more important to observe. The reason this Ekadasi is so auspicious that it celebrates the day when the sleeping Lord Vishnu turns over on his other side. Thus, it is also known as Parivartini Ekadasi. Maharaj Yudhishthira then asked of the Lord, O Janardana, please clear up a question I have. So, how is it that Supreme Lord sleeps and then turns over on his side? O Lord, when you're asleep, what happens to all other living entities? Please also tell me how you bound the king of the demons, Bali, Daityaraj, Bali Maharaja, as well as how one may please the Brahmanas. How does one observe Chaturmasya, which you mention in the Chaturmasya Mahatmya of the Bhavishya Purana? Kindly be merciful to me and answer these questions. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna replied, O Yudhishthira, line among kings, I will gladly narrate to you an historical event that simply by hearing eradicates all one's sinful reactions. In the Treta Yuga, there once was a king of the name Bali. Though born in a family dynasty of demons, Daityas, he was very devoted to me. He sang many Vedic hymns to me and performed the Homa rituals, fire sacrifices, just to satisfy me. He respected the twice-born Brahmins and engaged them in performing sacrifices daily. This great soul had a quarrel with Indra, however, and eventually defeated him in battle. Bali took over his entire celestial kingdom, which I myself had given to Indra. Therefore, Indra and all other devas, along with many great sages, approached me and complained about Bali Maharaja. Bowing their heads to the ground and offering many sacred prayers from the Vedas, they worshipped me along with their spiritual master Bruhaspati. Thus, I agreed to appear on their behalf as a dwarf Vamanadev, my fifth incarnation. King Yudhishthira further inquired, O Lord, how was it possible for you to conquer such a powerful demon and only by coming in the form of a dwarf Brahmin? Please explain this clearly, for I am your faithful devotee. The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna replied, Though a dwarf, I was a Brahmana, and I approached that pious king Bali to ask him for alms in the form of land. I said, O Daitya Bali, please give me just 3 steps of land in charity. Such a small piece of land will be good as all the 3 worlds for me. Bali agreed to grant my request without lengthy consideration. But as soon as he vowed to give me the land, my body began to expand into a gigantic transcendental form. I covered the entire earth with my feet, all the Bhuvanloka with my thighs, and the Swarga heavens with my waist, Maharloka with my stomach, Janaloka with my chest, Tapoloka with my neck, and Satyaloka with my head and face. I covered the entire material creation. Indeed, all the planets of the universe, including the sun and the moon, were encompassed by my gigantic form. Seeing this astonishing pastime of mine, all the demigods, including Indra and Shesha, the king of the snakes, began to sing Vedic hymns and offer prayers to me. Then I took Bali by the hand and said to him, O sinless one, I have covered the whole earth with 1 step and all the heavenly planets with the second. Now, where shall I place my foot to measure the 3rd step of land you promised me? Upon hearing this, Bali Maharaja bowed down in humility and offered me his head to place my 3rd step. O Yudhishthira, I placed my foot on his head and sent him all the way to Patalaloka. Seeing him thus humble, I became very pleased and told Bali that henceforth I would permanently reside in his palace. Thereafter, on Parivartini Ekadasi, which occurs during the light part of the month of Bhadra, Bali, the son of Virochana, grandson of Prahlada, installed a deity form of me in his residence. O king, until Haribhodhini Ekadasi, which occurs during the light part of the month of Kartika, I continue to sleep in the ocean of milk. The merit one accumulates during this period is particularly powerful. So one should therefore observe Parivartini Ekadasi carefully. Indeed, it is especially purifying and thus cleanses one of all sinful reactions. On this day, the faithful devotee should worship Lord Trivikrama Vamanadeva, who is the Supreme Father, because on this day I turn over to sleep on my other side. If possible, on this day one should give a qualified person some yogurt mixed with rice as well as some silver and then remain awake throughout the night. This simple observance will free one of all material conditioning. One who observes this sacred Parivartini Ekadasi in the way I have described will surely attain all kinds of happiness in this world and the kingdom of God in the hereafter. One who simply hears this narration with devotion will go to the abode of the demigods and shine there like the moon itself. So powerful is observance of this Ekadasi. Indeed, this observance is as powerful as the performance of 1,000 horse sacrifices. Thus ends the narration of the glories of Parivartini Ekadasi or Vamana Ekadasi, which occurs during the late part of the month of Bhadrapada from the Brahma Vaivarta Purana. The next day after Ekadashi is Sri Vamana Dwadasi, appearance day of Lord Vamana Dev. Ekadashi fast is observed till noon. The fast is broken after the noon with Ekadashi Prasadam. Next day, Sri Vamana Dwadasi, observe Lord Vamana Dev's appearance by again fasting till noon and by chanting extra Mahamantra Japa, praying to the Lord for his shelter, break this fast with joyful feasting of Lord Vamanadev's appearance day, Mahaprasadam. Pashva Ekadasi or Vamana Ekadasi ki jai. Okay, that is from events perspective. So we shall quickly move into Srimad Bhagavatam. ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Brahma speaking to Narada Muni and explaining different incarnations of the Supreme Lord. So in the last few days, we have been seeing Brahma is speaking on Krishna's pastimes. So Krishna, he has protected all the Vrindavana people from the fire. The day with when Krishna has subdued the Kaliya in the Kaliya snake, Kaliya pond. So on the same day, he has protected all the Vrindavana people from the forest fire. By just closing his eyes, he swallowed all the fire. So such kind of activities the Lord has performed. तत्कर्म दिव्यम् इव यन्निशि निश्चयानं दावाग्निना शुचिवदे परिदह्यमाने उन्नेष्यति व्रजमतो अवसि अवसितान्तकालं नेत्रे पिदाप्य सबलो अनधिगम्य वीर्यः नेत्रे पिदाप्य सबलो अनधिगम्य वीर्यः. There are unfathomable activities. Krishna's activities are there on the transcendental platform. They are the Atma Mahima Upanibandhanani. Atma Mahima Upanibandhanani. So Brahma says to Narada Muni. They are all on transcendental platform. So today, further, Brahma is explaining about the another pastime. This is coming to the Damodara. So it is saying Brahma is saying that about when Krishna was done some mischievous activity at the time, Mother Yashoda, she wanted to bound Krishna with a rope, and when even though she is trying to bind by attaching so many of those ropes, tying each other, and still it is getting short. And then she was wondered. That is one activity. And later on, Yashoda Mata wanted to look into the mouth of Krishna. At the time when Krishna opened his mouth, and she could see all the planetary systems within the mouth of Krishna, and she was doubtful about it. And immediately, somewhere or other, she was adjusted by in a different way. So likewise, Brahma is telling two of the Krishna's pastimes. One is the Damodarastakam and another one is the showing of universal form in the mouth of Krishna. So we are in the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, chapter 7, verse number 30. गृह्णीत यद्यद्बुपबन्धम् अपुष्यमाता क्षुल्भं सुतस्य न तु तद् यज्जृम्भतोऽस्य वदने भुवनानि गोपी संवीक्ष्य शङ्कितमनाः प्रतिबोधितासीत्. Gruhnita yajjad upabandham amushyamata. And gruhnita, so by taking up yajjad upabandham and whatever the ropes to tie Krishna, yajjad upabandham amushyamata. Amushya is Krishna. Amushyamata, Krishna's mother, Yashoda. Gruhnita yajjat upavandam amushyamata. And what happened? Sulbham sutas, for what? Sulbham, to taking the ropes to tie up Krishna. Sulbham sutasya, so to take Krishna, Yashoda Mata's child. Natu tattad amushyamati. Natu taddad amushyamati. And what is happening? However, she is trying natu tat tat in order to bind him. Namati. So na is coming in the middle, but it is actually mati. Mati is the was sufficient. So namati. It is going to as a namati. That is not sufficient. Sulbam sutasya natu tattad amushyamati. So that rope is not sufficient. to bind Krishna. Gruhnita yajjad upabandham amushyamata sulvam sutasya natu taddad amushyamati. And then what happened after that? Another pastime is yajjrumbato asya vadane bhonani gopi. Yajjrumbato asya. And Krishna, when he opened his mouth, yajjrumbato asya vadane, in his mouth, what happened? Bhonani gopi. And there are the worlds, the planetary systems, Bhonani, Chaturdasha Bhona. So we call Chaturdasha Bhona. They are the 14 planetary systems. The worlds, Bhonani, Gopi. Gopi is the covered woman, the Yashoda Mata. Samviksha, and by seeing all the 14 planetary systems, Bhonani, in the mouth of Krishna, Yajrumbato Asya Vadane Bhonani Gopi Samviksha Sankita Manaha. Sankita Manaha. So she's doubtful in her mind. What is this wonderful act? Likewise, Yashoda Mata was wondering. Sankita Manaha, and then Pratibhodita Asit. Pratibhodita Asit. And she convinced in a different way. She was convinced in a different way. Pratibhodita Asit. So saying that Prabhupada was saying that, all right, my child, just close your mouth, that's fine, don't worry. Likewise, Yashoda Mata wanted to just make him. So just it is on the Yoga Maya's platform, covering the intelligence of Yashoda Mata. यद्ध्रुम्बतो अस्य वदने भुवनानि गोपी संवीक्ष्य शङ्कितमनः प्रतिबोधितासीत् गृह्णीत यज्जद्मुपबन्धम् अमुष्यमाता शुल्भं सुतस्य न तु तत्तद् अमुष्यमाति यज्जृम्भतोऽस्य वदने भुवनानि गोपि सम्यक् शङ्कितमनाः प्रतिबोधितासीत्. The translation for this was, when the covered woman, Krishna's foster mother, Yashoda, was trying to tie the hands of her son with ropes, she found the rope to be always insufficient in length. And when she finally gave up, Lord Krishna by and by opened his mouth, wherein the mother found all the universes situated. Seeing this, she was doubtful in her mind, but she was convinced in a different manner of the mystic nature of her son. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Can I request any devotees, voluntary devotees, to read the purport, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji, please.
One day, Lord Krishna, as the naughty child, disturbed his mother Yashoda, and she began to tie up the child with ropes just to punish him. But no matter how much rope she used, she found it always insufficient. Thus, she became fatigued. But in the meantime, the Lord opened his mouth, and the affectionate mother saw within the mouth of her son all the universes situated together. The mother was astonished, but out of her deep affection for Krishna, she thought that the Almighty God had kindly looked after her son just to protect him from all the continuous calamities happening to him. Because of her deep affection for Krishna, she could never think that her very son was Narayana, the personality of Godhead himself. That is the affection of Yogamaya, the internal potency of the Supreme Lord, which acts to perfect all the pastimes of the Lord with his different types of devotees. Who could pay such a wonder without being God? Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji. So here, Prabhupada is explaining again, describing that event. How Yashoda was astonished, but out of deep affection for Krishna, thought of that Almighty God. Affection for Krishna She thought that the Almighty Godhead Narayan had kindly looked after her son just to protect him. In that way, she understood. And protect him from all continuous calamities happening to him. So this is the love of Mother Yashoda. Okay, so just in order to reflect that one, there are a few things. So it's a small thing just to read this little paragraph. Can I request any other devotee to read this one?
Mm.
Yes, Mataji, please.
Once upon a time, seeing that her missed miss maid servant was engaged in different household duties, Mother Yashoda personally took charge of churning butter, and while she churned butter, she sang the childhood pastime of Krishna and enjoying thinking of her son. The end of her uh, the end of her sari was sari was tightly wrapped while she churned, and on account of her in, intense love for her son, milk automatically dripped from her breast, which moved as the labor very hard, churning with two hands the bangles and bracelet of her son of her hands tinkled as they touched each other, and her earring and breast soaked. There were drops of mm, perspirations of on her face, and the flowered garland which was on her hand scattered here and there. Before this picture 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 sorry picturesque
Picture.
sight picturesque sight, Lord Krishna appeared as a child. He felt hungry, and to increase his mother's love, he wanted her to stop churning. He indicated that her first business was to let him suck her breast, and then she could churn butter later. Mother Yashoda took her son on her lap and pushed the nipple of her breast into his mouth, with and while Krishna was sucking the milk, she was smiling, enjoying the beauty of her child face. Suddenly the milk which was on the stove began to boil over. Just to stop the milk from spilling, Mother Yashoda at once put Krishna aside and went to the stove, left left in that left in that state by his mother. Krishna became very angry, and his lip and eyes become red in rage. He pressed his teeth and lips, and taking up a piece of stone, he immediately broke the butter pot. He took butter out of it, and with false tears in his eyes, he began to eat the butter in a scheduled places. In a scheduled place. Sorry. Scheduled place. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Can I request another devotee to read next further, please?
I can read, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji, please.
In the meantime, Mother Yashoda returned to the churning place, and after seeing the overwhelming milk can in order, she saw the broken pot in which the churning yogurt had been kept. Since she could not find her baby, she concluded that the broken pot was his work. She smiled as she thought, the child is
Hare Krishna, Mataji, we can't hear you.
what found her son sitting on a wooden mountain, which was taking butter for feeding sheep, and he was feeding. So Krishna looking and great in fear of her because he was
Mataji, your voice is breaking, Mataji. We can't hear you properly. It seems there is disconnections.
sorry, Prabhu. Is it not clear, Prabhu?
Yeah, now it is okay. So, could you please read from?
Okay. Yeah. She smiled as that after breaking the pot, he has left this place, fearing punishment. After she searched all over, she found her son sitting on a big wooden grinding mortar, which was kept upside down. He was taking butter from a pot which was hanging from the ceiling on a swing, and he was feeding it to the monkeys. She saw Krishna looking this way and that way in fear of her because he was conscious of his naughty behavior. After seeing her son so engaged, she silently approached him from Krishna, however, saw her coming towards him with a stick in her hand, and he immediately got down from the grinding motor and began to flee in fear. Mother Yasoda chased him to all corners, trying to capture the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is never approached even by the meditations of great yogis. In other words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, who is never caught by the yogis and speculators, was playing just like a little child for such a great devotee as Mother Yasoda. Mother Yasoda, however, could not easily catch the fast-running child because of her thin waist and heavy body. Still, she tried to follow him as fast as possible. Her hair loosened and the flowers in her hair fell to the ground. Although she was tired, she somehow reached her naughty child and captured him. When he was caught, Krishna was almost on the point of crying. He uh, smeared his hand over his eyes, which were anointed with black eye cosmetics. The child saw his mother's face while she stood over him, and his eyes became restless from fear.
Mataji, can I request any other devotees to read further, please? Yes, Mataji, please.
Mother Yashoda could understand that Krishna was unnecessarily afraid, and for his benefit, she wanted to allay his fears. Being the topmost well-wisher of her child, Mother Yashoda thought, if the child is too fearful of me, I don't know what happened to him. Mother Yashoda then threw away her stick. In order to punish him, she thought to bind his hands with some ropes. She did not know it, but it was actually impossible for her to bind the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mother Yashoda was thinking that Krishna was her tiny child. She did not know the child had no limitation. There's no inside or outside of him, no beginning or end. He is unlimited and all pervading. Indeed, he is uh, himself the whole cosmic manifestation. Still, Mother Yashoda was thinking of Krishna as her child. Although he is beyond the reach of all senses, she endeavored to bind him to a wooden grinding mortar. But when she tried to bind him, she found that the rope was using was too short by 2 inches. She gathered more ropes from the house and added it to it. But still she found the same shortage. In this way, she connected all the ropes available at home. But when the final knot was added, she saw that the rope was still 2 inches too short. Mother Yashoda was smiling, but she was astonished. How was it happening? In In attempting to bind her son, she became tired. She was perspiring, and the garland on her head fell down. Then Lord Krishna appreciated the hard labor of his mother, and being compassionate upon her, he agreed to be bound up by the ropes. Krishna, playing as a human child in the house of Mother Yashoda, was performing his own selected pastimes. Of course, no one can control the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The pure devotee surrenders himself unto the lotus feet of the Lord, who may either protect or vanquish the devotee. But for his part, the devotee never forgets his own position of surrender. Similarly, the Lord also feels transcendental pleasure by submitting himself to the protection of the devotee. This was exemplified by Krishna's surrender unto his mother Yashoda.
Thank you,
Can
Mataji.
Thank you.
Can I request Gauringi Mataji, would you like to read further? Gauringi Mataji. Okay, can I request Sarinya Mataji, would you like to read?
Hare Krishna. Krishna is the supreme bestower of all kinds of liberation to his devotees, but the benediction which has bestowed upon Mother Yashoda was never experienced even by Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva or the goddess of fortune. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as the son of Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, is never so completely known to the yogis and speculators, but he is easily available to his devotees. Nor is he appreciated as the supreme reservoir of all pleasure by the gopis and the yogis and the speculators. After binding her son, Mother Yashoda engaged herself in household affairs. At that time, bound up to the wooden mortar, Krishna could see a pair of trees before him which were known as Arjuna trees. The great reservoir of pleasure, Lord Sri Krishna, thus thought to himself, Mother Yashoda first of all left without feeding me sufficient milk, and therefore I broke the pot of yogurt and distributed the stock butter in charity to the monkeys. Now she has bound me up to a wooden mortar, so I shall do something more mischievous than before. And thus he thought of pulling down the two very tall Arjuna trees. There is a history behind the pair of Arjuna trees in their previous lives. The trees were born as human sons of Kuvera, and their names were Nala Kuvera and Manigriva. Fortunately, they came within the vision of the Lord. In their previous lives, they were cursed by the great sage Narada in order to receive the highest benediction of seeing Lord Krishna. The benediction curse was bestowed upon them because of their forgetfulness due to intoxication. The story will be narrated in the next chapter. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So it includes of two pastimes. One is by Yashoda Mata's pastime. So that Brahma is saying here, Gushnita yajjad bhukvandam amushyamata shulbham sutasya natu tattad amushyamati. That is one pastime. And another pastime is Krishna is breaking the Arjuna trees. That is यद् रिङ्गतम् अन्तर्गतेन दिविस्पृशोर्वा उन्मूलनं तु इतरत अर्जुनयोः न भाव्यम्. So this chapter contains two pastimes, and Brahma is saying another pastime that when Krishna opened his mouth, at that time Yashoda Mata sees all the 14 planetary systems in his mouth, and then she understood in a different way. Sankita Manaha Pratibodhitasi. Okay, so that is from this Srimad Bhagavatam, and a very beautiful pastime from Krishna book. So Grushnita Yajjad Bhuvandam Amushyamata Shulbham Sutasya Natu Tattad Amushyamati Yajjhumbato Asya Vadane Bhonani Gopi Samviksh Sankita Manaha Pratibodhitasit. Okay, so we shall quickly move into Srila Prabhupada's daily letter. So today, letter to unknown. Okay, letter to unknown, April 12th, 1970, Los Angeles. I shall read this letter. I thank you very much for your letter. So as you have liked to know more about the temple, the worshippers, and the scriptures, I beg to inform you that this Krishna consciousness movement is based on the Vedic scriptures. Veda means knowledge, and there are two kinds of knowledge, one mundane and another transcendental. Vedas are considered to be originally transcendental because they are coming from the platform which existed before the creation. This transcendental knowledge was impregnated in the heart of the first created living being, and then they distributed the knowledge both for material and spiritual purposes. This Vedic knowledge was stated in the Atharva Veda. Later on, just on the beginning of this millennium, the Kali Yuga, Vyasadeva, who is the supreme authority of Vedic knowledge, considering the degraded condition of men in this age, divided the whole Veda into departmental knowledge, and some of his disciples were entrusted with a particular type of departmental knowledge. In this way, the whole Vedic knowledge developed into four Vedas, 108 Upanishads, 18 Puranas, then summarized in the Vedanta Sutra, and then again to benefit the less intelligent class of men like women, workers, and the degraded descendants of the higher class, he made another fifth Veda known as Mahabharata, or the Great History of India. The original Bharata and the modern India are not the same. The original Bharata means the whole earthly planet. Gradually being sectioned, the modern India is only a fraction part of the original Bharata. So the knowledge is distributed in so many departmental Vedic knowledge, but the whole process is aiming at God realization. The living entities within this material world are supposed to be rebellious, conditioned souls who disregarded the order of the Supreme Lord, and they lost their spiritual kingdom. It is something like Milton's idea of paradise lost. This material world is created, developed, maintained, produces many byproducts, then gradually dwindles, and at last it is dissolved or annihilated. The spirit souls or living beings are by nature eternal. This condition of life for the living beings are by nature eternal. This condition of life for the living beings, namely to go through repeated births and deaths, is unnatural for him. Therefore, the whole Vedic knowledge is devised to regulate the life of the living entities, not in the animal form of life, but in the human form of life, so that he can fulfill his material desires, but at the same time he becomes elevated to his original spiritual position. This process of evolution from the lowest aquatic life up to the stage of Brahmanical culture is delineated in the whole Vedas. This is called knowledge. And when one is liberated from the material contamination, the same knowledge further advanced becomes transcendental knowledge. This process of elevating oneself from different platforms of understanding to the highest status of life is called religion. According to Sanskrit language, religion is not kind of faith, but it is a prescribed form of duties to be discharged by respective human society. Ultimately, rising to the platform of Krishna consciousness or God consciousness. The first class religion is therefore that which teaches human being love of God, because religion means to understand one's position in relationship with God. This God realization also depends on three phases of life. When God realization is there, distinguished from material realization. This is called liberated stage of transcendental enlightenment. The next stage is to realize God everywhere in his localized aspect. And the highest stage of God realization is to know him as the supreme person, all powerful, full of all riches, all reputation, all beauty, all wisdom, and all renunciation. For the further understanding of this religious process, I would recommend you to read our three books, namely Sri Ishopanishad, Bhagavad Gita as it is, and Easy Journey to Other Planets. When you have finished them, you can read Srimad Bhagavatam and Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Besides these, we have many other books and our Back to Godhead magazines in which we are fully describing about this religion only. So you read them one after another, and whenever there is a question, you may write to me, and I shall be very glad to answer it is as far as possible. I am so pleased to learn that you are so impressed with our activities and you are so eager to learn about religion. Thank you very much. Your ever well wisher is Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so any takeaway points, dear devotees, you wanted to mention, or if you think it is to highlight? Hare Krishna. Okay, so here in this letter, Prabhupada is mentioning about the Vedic knowledge. So previously there was only Adhva Veda, and then Vyasadeva has divided one Veda into four, like Rig Veda, Sama Veda, and Yajur Veda. And Rig Veda contains all the mantras, Sama Veda contains all the hymns, the glorifying the Lord, and likewise, and he has given Jaimini Rishi, Paila Rishi, Vaisampayana, and Angira Muni. So he has given Sumantru, or he has given the four Vedas to four disciples and all the Puranas to Roma Harshana. And also he has given Mahabharata. Mahabharata was first recited to Janmejaya when he was performing after the Parikshit was bitten by the Takshika snake, and Janmejaya, the son of Parikshit, he was performing Sarpa Yajna, so to kill all the snakes. At the time, many snakes are falling on their own, coming and falling into the fire sacrifice, and immediately the Vaski, they were praying to the Lord, and then Manasa Devi is also daughter of Kadru. All the snakes are the children of Kadru. Kadru is the wife of Kashyapa Prajapati. Manasa Devi, she is the devotee of the Lord, uh, and and then she went there, and then she was asking um, to stop this the sacrifice, the Sarpa Yajna. At the time, there is also Vaisampayana Rishi who has narrated Mahabharata to the Janmejaya, again describing all the Mahabharata to Janmejaya. So that is the first time Mahabharata was spoken, and that is given for this is the, it is also called fifth Veda, Mahabharata. And so this is for the degraded descendants of the higher class, Sri Sudra Dvijabandhunam. Okay, and then there are 108 Upanishads as well. Out of that, Prabhupada mentioned number of Upanishads and 18 Puranas. So these are all summarized in the Vedanta Sutra. And Prabhupada is explaining about the Bharat. Bharat means it is the wider portion of it, but now we see very section of it. Okay, and Prabhupada is further explaining about the Varnashrama Dharma. It is gradual process. While we are fulfilling our material desires, and parallelly we are advancing the spiritual realization. This is the Varnashrama Dharma. Everything for some Siddhir Haritoshanam. Okay, that is Prabhupada is explaining. And then next is the So this is also God realization, second paragraph, and explaining that the Supreme Hari is the all-powerful, full of all riches, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is God realization is in the Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti Shabdhyate. And in the Bhagavan, he is saying all powerful, all riches, all reputation, all beauty, all wisdom, and all renunciation. And Prabhupada is giving just Ishopanishad, Bhagavad Gita as it is, easy journey to other planets. These are the gradual studying of the books is recommended by Prabhupada directly to a person who is inquiring about Krishna consciousness movement. Okay, this is what I understand from this letter. And any other comments, dear devotees? You wanted to share anything else on this letter? Kindly share. Okay, so in that case, that is from Prabhupada's letter. And from the announcements point of view, so today evening we have got Radha Katha by Krishna Keshav Das Prabhuji at 7 p.m. And also today there is a Brighton Radha is happening and some devotees are going there. That is one more event. And the devotees, if there are any other updates or you wanted to share anything on Krishna consciousness, kindly share. Okay, so if there are no further updates, then we shall move to the next part of our program. This is the description of the kingdom of God. So in the last session, we have seen the four Kumaras, they have entered into the Vaikunta Loka. And then they have seen the Lord person as a face-to-face. And then they are mesmerizing by the beauty of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they have the Lord and his procession whenever the Lord has come to the point where the four Kumaras and Jaya and Vijay are there. It is glorified. Krishna Prasad Sumukam Spruhaniya Dhama Sneha Valoka Kalaya Hrisam Sprusantam Syame Prutavarsi Sobhitaya Sriya Swaha Chodamanim Subhagayantam Yavatma Dishnam. So likewise, Brahma is glorifying the abode of the Lord, and it is a desirable place for everyone to go there. So after saying that the Lord is coming, Evam Tadaiva Bhagavan Arvindanabaha Swanam Vibhudyasad Adikramam Aryapudyaha Tasmin Yayu Paramahamsa Mahamuninam Anveshaniya Charanavu Chalayan Sahasrihi. The lotus feet, which is always meditated by the great sages in their hearts, and the Lord walked on that lotus feet along with Goddess of Fortune to that place where Jaya and Vijaya and the four Kumaras are there. And then when he was coming, Tam Twagatam Pratihta Aupayukam Swapumbabihi Te Chakshit Aktivisham Swasamadhi Bhagyam Hams Sriyoho Vyajanayoho Sivavayu Lolat Shubra Atapatra Sasikesara Sikarambhum. And his entourage is glorifying. He has got a white big umbrella on top of it, and it has got pearl strings. They're hanging from the umbrella. It is just like a Sasikesar Sikarambhum, white pearls falling from the moon. So beautifully it is explained the glorification of umbrella and his entourage. While the other associates are fanning the Lord with the chamaras. And we also see in the when the temples are in the southern India or in the Sriranga Kshetra or Tirumala, when the Lord so they have got white big umbrellas going on a big palanquin, and having the two chamaras are doing it, and the light is putting and all the entourage is going. It is very wonderful to see. That is beautiful scenarios. And here later on, Brahma is saying to the demigods, the Lord's beauty, glorifying the beauty of the Lord.
पीतां सुके पृथिनिदिम्बिनि विस्फुरञ्च काञ्चालिभिः विरुतया वनमालया च वल्गुप्रकोष्ठवलयं विनतासुतांशे विन्यस्तहस्तमित्रेण दुनानमब्जम् with yellow garments, and he's have got a flower garland which is intoxicated fragrant, which is attracting so many bumblebees, and he has having one hand on the Garuda, and in one hand he has got lotus flower, and likewise he was coming, and his earrings vidyukshapan makaratala mandanarha gandasthalona samukam manimat दोर्दण्डषण्ड विवरे हरतापराध्या हारेण कन्दरगतेन च कौस्तभेन. So he has got the Makara Kundalas and they are shining, and he has got very beautiful Manimat Kiritam, a Kirita with bedecked with so many of jewels, and he has got the so many of necklaces in his neck, and they are under the Vanamala. So Harena Kandra Gatena cha Kaustabhena. And then further, the beauty of the Lord, it is exceeding the goddess of fortune's beauty. Atropustamiti cha usmitam indhirayaha swanam dhiya virichitam bahusaustavadhyam mahyam bhavasya bhavatam cha bhajantamangam nemurnirikcha navitrupta drushomudakaihi. So this is Brahma is saying. So the Lord's beauty, it is exceeding the goddess of fortune. And according to the devotee's desire, Swanam Dhiya Virijitam Bohu Saustavadhyam, as per devotee's expectations, the Lord's body is so strong. Bohu Saustavadhyam. It is built perfectly. So likewise, Brahma is saying after that, the Kumaras, they're looking at the lotus feet, but they have bowed down their heads to the lotus feet of the Lord at the time. Tasyaravinda nainasya padaravinda kinjal kamishra tulsi makaranda vayuhu antargataha swavivarena chakara tesham sanshobham akshar chitta tanvoho. So when the breeze carrying the aroma of the tulsi leaves from the toes of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead entered the nostrils of those sages, they experienced a change both in body and in mind, even though they were attached to the impersonal Brahman understanding. So this is Brahma is saying. So until this point, we have seen how the Kumaras completely there is a change in their body, chitta tanvoho, in their body and in the heart, and the conception to the impersonal conception, impersonalism, it has gone decayed, because they are seeing the Lord who is the basis for brahmano hi pratishtaham amrutasya aveyasya cha. So when they see the very source of Lord for the Brahman light, now they are elevated to the higher level as a devotees now. So here what they are seeing further, now what they are doing, they have bowed down their heads to the lotus feet of the Lord, and they're smelling, and then the changes in the body. So today further Brahma is saying to demigods, uh, the Kumaras, by looking at the Lord's face, and his face is like a bluish lotus flower, and his smiles are very very beautiful, with like a jasmine flowers. They are very whitish, and his teeth are very very small, and they are like a he's smiling with that face and having a reddish lips. And by looking at the Lord's face, here the sages, they are very very satisfied, and then they wanted to see the lotus feet again and again, and the lotus feet is having uh, the nails which are of reddish color. The nails are a reddish color, and they are looking at the Lord's body again and again. They are meditating on his complete beautiful form, deity form.
The Lord is there in front of them. They're holding the lotus feet and looking at the lotus face of the Lord. And that way they completely immersed in the samadhi directly. Okay, so we are in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, chapter 15, verse number 44. Deva amushya vadanasita padmakosham uddhvikya sundaratara adhara kundahasam labdashashaha punaraveksha tadiyamangre dhandvam na karunamani nidadyuho. Deva amushya vadanasita padmakosham. So when the great sages they it is those sages when they are seeing the Amushya Vadanasita Padma Kosham. Amushya is the of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Amushya Vadanasita Padma Kosham. Vadana Asita Padma Kosham. And his face here, Vadana his face. Asita is a bluish Asita Padma Kosham. It is the bluish lotus flower. Padma Kosham. And Kosham is inside. When the flower is blossoming, the blue lotus, it is inside, there is again the whorl inside it. It is so beautiful to see, and aroma comes from there. When the Lord is smiling, Vadanasit Padma Kosham Udviksha. After looking up the face of the Lord, how it is like Sundaratara Adara Kundahasam. Sundaratara, more beautiful. Sundaratara, more beautiful. Adara Kundahasam. Lips are like a jasmine flower. Kunda flowers are the jasmine flowers. And his smile, Hasam, his smiling is like that. So Udvikya Sundaratara Adara Kundahasam. Labdashashaha Punaravikya Tadiyamangri. Labdashashaha. Now they have achieved the aims of the life. Labdha Ashashaha, aims of the life. That is the one always to see the Lord smiling. And then Punar Aveksha, they're again looking down. Punar Aveksha, where they're looking down? Tadiyam Angri, Tadiyam, his lotus feet. Tadiyam Angri, Dvandvam, the pair of lotus feet. Tadi Angri Dvandvam, the pair of his lotus feet. Again, how they look like the lotus feet? Naka Aruna Manishrayanam. Naka Aruna Manishrayanam. Here the nails of his lotus feet are Aruna, they are very reddish. Manishrayanam, they're like rubies. They are the shelter for everyone. So beautiful. The Lord's lotus feet is Dhandvam Naka Arunam Manishrayanam Nidadjuhu. And they are meditating. They're here Shrayanam is the shelter and meditate. Nidadjuhu, it is the meditated. The great sages, the four Kumaras, who are the oldest within this universe. They are the topmost and then the oldest. Ruddham Dashadhavaiso Vidatma Tattvan. But they look like a Dashadhavaiso, 5 years old children. But they have got the Vidatma Tattvan, Atma Tattvan, they realize it. So likewise, Brahma is saying the beauty, glorifying the beauty of the Lord. Deva Amushya Vadanasita Padma Kosham Udviksha Sundaratara Adhara Kundahasam. The lotus face and Labdashasha Punaraveksha Tadiyamangri Dhandvam na Karuna Manishrayanam Nidadyuhu. So still, once they achieved the smiling face of the Lord, they are again looking at the lotus feet of the Lord, and his nails are very reddish. Nakaruna Manishrainam Nirajjuhu. Okay, so translation for this verse. Can I request Gaurangi Mataji, if okay, Mataji is not here. Can I request any other devotees to read translation, please?
Oh, I can read, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji, please.
The Lord's beautiful face appeared of them like the inside of a blue lotus, and the Lord's smiles appeared to be a blossoming jasmine flower. After seeing the face of the Lord, the sages were fully satisfied, and when they wanted to see him further, they looked upon the nails of his lotus feet, which resembled rubies. Thus, they viewed the Lord's transcendental body again and again, and so they fully achieved meditation on the Lord's personal feature. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So when we see the lotus feet of the Lord, so here, okay, we can't see fully. There are some flowers offered unto the lotus feet of the Lord. So there is a, this is the Tulasi Mishra Makaranda Vayu, when the Tulasi leaves are tinged to the lotus feet of the Lord. And here are Tulsi leaves, and his feet are very reddish. This is Naka Aruna Manishrayanam, and he has got a reddish lotus feet. This is what the great sages are meditating on. That is the Shrayanam, is shelter for everyone. And they are smelling the aroma coming from Tulasi, Kinjalka Mishra Tulasi, Makaranda Vayuhu. One has to smell. This is Sri Vishnu Padja Manustulisyaha Swasanchoyastu Navera Khandam. If one doesn't smell this aroma, even though he is breathing, he is a dead body. So that is what explained in the all the Shastras. So here, lotus feet, just to so this is the lotus feet. Let us take this one. So here the lotus feet are mentioned. They are like a Nakaruna Manishrayanam Nirjuhu, very reddish color. And Pradarsiyantam Krupayanakenu Mayoka Bhinnanguli Charu Patram. Brahma says this is by Maitreya Rishi explaining to the Vidura about the Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu and the beauty of the Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. And he keeps his body is very huge, gigantic in the Garbhodaka ocean. And when he keeps his feet very long, and then he was mentioning about the lotus feet of the Lord. Pumsam vividkamai pumsam swakamai viviktamargaihi abhyachitam kam dugangri padram प्रदर्शयन्तं कृपया न केन्दु मयूक भिन्नांगुलि चारुपत्रम मयूक भिन्नांगुलि चार प्रदर्शयन्तं कृपया naka indu means the nails. Indu is the moon, they are shining like a moon. The nails, they are very reddish here, and in other place they are glorifying, they are very red, like a moon. प्रदर्शयन्तं कृपया न केन्दु मयूक भिन्नांगुलि चारुपत्रम Mayuka Bhinnanguli Charupatram. Very beautifully is glorifying the lotus feet of the Lord. So, and here again the lotus feet. So there is the reddish nails here. Nakaruna Manishrayanam. To meditate, one has to meditate on that lotus feet of the Lord, and which are tinged with the Kinjal Kamishri Tulasi Makaranda Vayuhu. So this is what Kumaras are looking, and again they're meditating on. Dhandvam Nakaruna Manishrayanam Niradyuhu, that is called meditation. Vaikunta Lila Vidhanam Samadhanam Tatatmanaha. Bhagavan Shabda Gocharaha. One may think that how do I see always thinking like that when we are reciting these verses, Bhagavan Shabda Gocharaha, the sound comes from the mouth of the devotees. And the devotee, whoever is hearing, they will realize through the sound vibrations first. That is called meditation. Vaikunta Leela Abhidhanam Samadhanam Tadatmanaha. If one is hearing the pastimes of the Lord, that is called Samadhanam, Samadhi. And here, directly the Kumaras, they have seen the Lord's lotus feet, and now they are meditating on that lotus feet. Finally achieved the meditation on the Lord's personal feature. This is the personal feature. So far they were in the Akshar Jusham. Akshar Jusham. Akshar Jusham is the impersonal realization. Now they are the pure devotees of the Lord. Now they got the lotus feet of the Lord, face of the Lord. His face is Sundaratara Adrakunda Hasam. So beautiful. This is the position of the Kumaras. The Kumar. Who else is better self-realized persons than the four Kumaras? They are the firstborn children of the Brahma from his Mansami Shutayushmat Purujaha Sanakadayaha. They're mind-born children of the Brahma, Manasa. The firstborn children of Brahma. Whoever is more self-realized than them. So now they are coming and realizing the Lord in the personal form. This is Deva Amushya Vadanasita Padmakosham Budviksha Sundaratara Adhara Kundahasam Labdashisha Punaraveksha Tariyamangri Dhandham Nakaruna Manishrayanam Nidadyuku. So this is Brahma is saying to the demigods here. Very beautiful. Okay, so there is no purport for this one. I request dear devotees, if you have got any questions here, or you wanted to share anything, kindly share, or we shall go to the next verse. Okay, shall we go to the next verse then? So here in the next verse, it is completely explaining the personal form of the Lord and his form. So here Brahma is saying that who are meditating, following the Sankhya philosophy or the devotional service, so they come to the realization of the complete form of the Lord. And but yogis in their meditation, they realize partially. Kechishwarehantu Hridayavakashe Pradesha Matram Purusham Vasantam. Pradesha Matram. It is just a kind of some partial realization. Pradesha Matram Purusham Vasantam. Chaturbhujam Kanjara Tangashanka Gadadharam Dharanaya Smaranti. So likewise, some people realize the yogis, and that is the happiness for them. Now, here Kumaras are seeing the personal form, directly, personal face to face here. Yogis, they see partial realization in their hearts. Now, Kumaras are seeing the complete form in front of them. So this is the Lord. He has got all kinds of opulences, the Astasiddhis. But it is not possible for all other people to become and equipped with the Astasiddhis. And this form is the transcendental, this is the realization. One has to go, Krishna, when the Lord appears to Brahma before this scenario that Kumaras have seen the Lord. Before that, Brahma in his meditation, and he has got the Lord's vision as well. The Lord has appeared to Brahma. At that time, Lord says to Brahma, saying that Manishitanu Anubhavoyam Mamaloka Avalokanam Yad Vupsatya Rahasi Chakadha Paramam Tapaha. O Brahma, Manishita Anubhavoyam Mamaloka Avalokanam. So the perfection of human life is that one has to come to my abode and live with me and enjoy all kinds of opulences. Mamaloka Avalokanam. So, and then I have all at that time, I said to tapa, like two words, two letters, and you have taken those words as instruction by me, and then you have performed, carried. Chakadatar
चकर्दपरमं तपः यद् बहुसत्य रहति चकर्दपरमं तपः. You have performed this austerity, and after your austerities and austerities and penances, I have appeared in front of you. So what is the essence is the tapasya. Tapasya is sujami tapase vedam grasami tapasa punaha bhibarmi tapasa vishwam virime dushyaran tapaha. For everything, austerity and penance is the important thing. So today is Ekadasi. We are all fasting on the Ekadasi. This is tapasya. So sujami tapase vedam grasami tapasa punaha. I create by the austerities. This is tapasya. I maintain by tapasya. I dissolve this universe by tapasya. Likewise, the Lord says to Brahma, tapasya is the main thing. So once comes to that perfection of the tapasya, then he can see the Lord face to face. So now Brahma is saying that what is the perfection of the human life? So this is the next verse, 45 verse. पुंसां गतिं मृगतयामिह योगमार्गैः ध्यानास्पदं बहुमतं नयनाभिरामं पौंस्नं वपुर्दर्शयानम् अनन्यसिद्धैः औत्पत्तिकैः समगृणन् युतमस्तभोगैः पुंसां गतिं मृगतयामिह योगमार्गैः. Pumsam gatim, of those persons liberation. Pumsam gatim mrugatya mrugata. This is the mrugayatam iha, and mrugatyam is the who are searching, desiring to for iha yoga margaihi. In this world, by perform the process of Ashtanga yoga. This is the controlling all the senses and all those things. Mrugatayamiha yoga margaihi. Dhyanaspadam bahumatam nayanabhiramam. Dhyanaspadam. What is the dhyanaspadam here? So, object of meditation. Bahumatam, and by the yogis approved. There are different processes for the meditation and to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what is that? Nayana Abhiramam, and very pleasing to the eyes. Nayana Abhiramam. That form, it is the object of the meditation. One has to see that form. What is Nayana Abhiramam? Pleasing to the eyes. And what is that? Paunsnam Vupurdarshayanam. Paunsnam. The Paunsnam is the human form. Paunsnam Vapuhu, the human form. Darshayanam is displaying. Darshayanam Ananisidjaihi, not by Ananya is the not by others. Siddhaihi is perfected. Outpattikaihi samagran yutamasta bhogaihi. Outpattikaihi is eternally present, and Samaguranan is the praised. Samaguranan. Yutamasta bhogaihi, the Supreme Personality of Godhead with 8 kinds of achievements. Ashta bhogaihi is the Ashta Ishwaryas. Ashta bhogaihi. So the Lord situated with all his siddhis, 8 siddhis, Ashta siddhis, Ashta Ishwaryas, Ashta bhogaihi. So that is when we see the Lord, like with all his opulences in the Vaikunta, that is Nayanabhiram, very pleasing. And one has to, when we have got this form of the human body, one has to achieve that by his austerities and penances and attain the Lord. This is Pumsam Gatim Mrugatayamiha Yoga Margaihi Dhyanaspadam Bahumatam Nayanabhiramam. Pausnam Vupur Darshayanam Ananyasiddhaihi Outpattikaihi Samagrunan Yutamasta Bhogaihi. So the translation for this verse. So this is the form of the Lord which is meditated upon by the followers of the yoga process, and it is pleasing to the yogis in meditation. It is not imaginary but factual. as approved by the great yogis. The Lord is full in 8 kinds of achievement, but for others, these achievements are not possible in full perfection. Okay, so this is the translation. Can I request any devotees to read the purport? So there are, it seems there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we shall go. The many paragraphs are here. We shall go 2 paragraphs. First devotee, any devotee would like to read the first 2 paragraphs, please?
Okay.
I can go, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji, please.
Success of the yoga process is very nicely described here. It is specifically the form of the Lord is four-handed. Narayana is the object of meditation for the follower of yoga. Yoga Murga. In the modern age, there are so many so-called yogis who do not target their meditation on the four-handed Narayan from some of them try to meditate it on sometimes impersonal or void. But that is not approved by the great yogis who follow the standard method. The real yoga murga process is the control the sense. Sit in a solitary and sanctified place and meditate on the four-handed form of Narayana, decorated as described in the chapter as he appears before the four sages. These Narayana forms Krishna's expansions. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement, which is now spreading, is the real topmost process of yoga practice. Krishna consciousness is the highest yoga performance by trained devotional yogi, despite of all element of yoga practice. The 8 kind of yogis perfection are handily achieved by the common man, but here is described that the Lord who appears before the four sages is himself full of all 8 of those perfections. The highest yoga murga process is to concentrate the mind 24 hours a day on Krishna. This is called Krishna consciousness. The yoga system is as described in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, or as recommended in the Patanjali yoga process, is different from the nowadays practice Hatha yoga as it is generally understood in the Western countries. Real yoga practice is to control the sense, and after such control is established, to concentrate the mind on the Narayan form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. Other other Vishnu forms with four-handed Vishnu forms with four-handed, decorated with conch, lotus, glove, and wheel are
Inner expansions of Krishna. Hare Krishna Mataji, you can't hear you.
Bhagavad Gita. It is one has to sit with the head and the back in a straight line, and one must practice in a scheduled place, sanctified by a scared atmosphere. The yogis should observe the rules and regulation of brahmacharya, regulation of brahmacharya, to strictly live a life lifestyle sorry, to strictly live a life of self self self-sacred self-restraint restraint and celibacy. One cannot practice yoga in a congested city, living a life of extravagance, extravagance, including unres- un, including unrestricted sex in the indulgence and adultery of the tongue. Yoga practice necessitates controlling the sense, and the beginning of sense control is to control the tongue. One who can control the tongue can also have control over the other sense. One cannot allow the tongue to take all kind of forbidden food and drink and at the same time advance in the practice of yoga. It is a very regrettable fact that many unauthorized so-called yogis come to the Western countries and exploit people's people's in inclinations towards yoga practice. Such unauthorized yogis even dare to say publicly that one can induce in the habit of drinking and at the same time practice meditation.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. Very nicely read. So here Prabhupada is explaining and the process of yoga. What is the yoga? And this is called Sankhya Yoga. One has to keep himself in the clean place, completely free from the materialistic mundane activities. Gramya dharma nivrittisha moksha dharma ratistada. And one has to be in the moksha dharma, not the gramya dharma. Mitimedya adanam shashwat. He has to take the little as much food as required, not too much less, not too much more. And then vivikta kshema sevanam, and he has to go in a secluded place and follow the regulative principles like ahimsa satyam asteyam yavad adda parigraha brahmacharyam tapasaucham swadhyaya purusharchanam. Follow the non-violence, always truthful, and then no more material entanglement, no more engagement in the materialistic activities or sense gratificated activities, and follow brahmacharyam, complete celibacy. Tapasaucham, one has to perform austerities and penances. Socham, saucham is the cleanliness, and swadhyaya purusharchanam, and he has to study the Vedic scriptures. Purusharchanam in such a way he has to worship the Lord. Maunam sadasana jaiha stadium prana janasanaihi pratyaharsha indriyanam vishyan manasa krudi pratyaharsha indriyanam. So he has to revert back from his senses. Yata samharite chayam kurmonganiva sarvashaha indriyan indriyadebhyaha tasya prajna pratisthita. Krishna says to Arjuna, kurmonganiva sarvashaha. Just like a turtle, it takes back all of his bodily parts. Likewise, one has to retract all his senses from the material entanglement. That is pracharsha indriyanam. Vishyan manasa hrudi, no more thinking, talking, or speaking, engagement of senses in the materialistic things. Maunam sadasana jayaha. He should be very calm and quiet. And then Swarisnyanam ekadesya manasa pranadharanam Vaikuntalela abhidhyanam samadhanam tadatmanaha. So, and then he has to Swarisnyanam ekadeshe manasa pranadharanam. There are shat chakras within the body, and he has to meditate and each and every he has to keep the life air at each and every part. Mooladhara chakra, Swadhisthana chakra, Manipuraka chakra, likewise. And then finally, Sahasrara chakra, that is the topmost one on the top of the head. That is keeping there and then remembering Vaikunta Leela Vidhanam Samadhanam Tadatmanaha. Somewhere or other, he has to control all the senses. And then he has to keep his body Suchodeshe Pratistapya Vijitasanasanam Tasmin Swasti Samasena Rujukaya Samabhyase.
He has to keep his body straight and keeping the spinal cord perpendicular to the earth, and then sit in a very clean place, which is not too high, not too less, keeping kusagrash, dharba, and then he sit, and then he start to control the body. How to control? Pranasya sodayen margam pura kumbhakarecakaihi प्रतिकूलेन वा चित्तं यथा स्थिरम् अचञ्चलम्. So Pradayen Shodayen Margam. Purakumbhakarecikaihi. So when we are trying to inhale and exhale, we have to make them as going in the opposite directions. Pratikulena Vachittam Yatastiram Achanchalam. So such kind of activities are needs to be completely controlled. Completely controlled. And that is Yatastiram Achanchalam. मनो अचिरास्यात् विरजं जितश्वासस्य योगिनः वायुज्ञभ्यां यथालोहं ज्ञातुं चजिति वै मलाम्. Matam chajiti vai malam. So likewise, one has to meditate for a very long time. Jeta swasas yoginha, controlling the breathing and controlling the senses. That way, he has to achieve pranayama hidhedhoshan dharana vishit kilbishan pratyaharena samsarghan dhyanena anishwaran gunan. So by pranayama, the head doshan, all his faults will be the head. They will be burnt to the ashes. All the faults. Pranayama hi the head doshan. Dharana vishakil vishan. The sinful activities, whatever he has performed, dharana vishakil vishan. So that one also be kilbishan is a sinful activities. They will also be nullified. Pratyaharena samsarghan. And taking retracting his sense gratification, his senses from the sense gratification, pratyaharena samsarghan. That is called pratyahara. And samsarghan, he transcended to those material entanglement. And then dhyanena anishwaran gunan. By meditating on the Lord, he will be transcending the three material modes of nature. Dhyanena anishwaran gunan. So these are the steps that one has to follow in the Ashtanga yoga process. The Prabhupada is explaining here. Yada manhasum virajam yogena susamahitam kashtam bhagavatodhyayat swanasagra avalokanaha. And keeping his eyesight directly on the tip of his nose with the half closed eyes. Swanasagra avalokanaha. And here now everything, once it comes to the point, at that point he starts to meditate on the four-handed form of the Lord. Prasannavadanambhojam padmagarbha arunekshanam nilotpaladala shanka chakra gadhadharam. So that form one has to meditate. This is the yogic process. All Prabhupada is explaining in these two paragraphs. So far, many people are following this kind of process in the Kruta Yuga or Treta Yuga, like that. Gradually, that process is being declined. Now we are in the Kali Yuga. It is no more. It is not many people are existing like this. Very few people, we cannot see them in the ordinary society. Here, in the Shastras, it is said they are in the secluded places, not in the people of general. We cannot see them. So everything is that is Prabhupada is explaining. So in this age of Kali Yuga, what we need to do? Only chanting of Hare Krishna. That is the easiest process for us. See, by following all these steps, is it possible for us to go through all this such kind of yogic process? One can attain the Lord through that yogic process, but it is very difficult. But going to the temple, associating with the devotees, Kapil Bhagavan says this whenever Devhuti Mata says that Kachitvai Uchita Bhakti Hiki Drushi Mama Ghochera Yayapadam Nirvanam Anjasa Anvashnava Aham. So what is that easiest process, oh my dear Lord, that I can follow? Yayapadam Nirvanam Anjasa Anvashnava Aham. Very easily I can attain. Etad me vidanihi yataham mandir hare. Sukum buddhe durbodham yosha bhavat anugrahat. I am a woman. Yosha Bhavadanagrahad, by your mercy, Sukum Buddhe Durbodham, which I can easily attain the Supreme Lord. Can you please explain those things to me? I am very Yataham Mandadir Hare, Mandadihi. I am not very intelligent. I am Yosha, I am a Stri, I am a woman. In this material world, everyone are like that. Mandadihi. Tadyetanme Vidanihi. Please explain this to me. Then Kapil Bhagwan explains the devotional service. After explaining this Ashtanga Yoga and everything, Lord explains about the devotional service, which is very pleasing and practical for everyone in this age of Kali. This was so Kapil Bhagavan says, Madhyashna Darshna Puja Suti Abhivandanaihi Bhuteshu Madbhavanaya Satvena Asangamena cha. One has to go to the temple, touch my deity form. Madhyashna Darshana Sparsha Puja Stuti Abhivandanaihi. These are the things to be done as part of the devotional service. Otherwise, this Ashtanga Yoga, and after explaining that devotional process, that what Krishna consciousness movement or Hare Krishna movement is doing, and then Kapil Bhagwan says, if you follow that Sankhya philosophy or Sankhya Yoga, controlling the senses and meditating on the Lord form, or devotional service, going to the temple and meditating on the Lord's deity form, if you follow one of it, you will attain the perfection of human life. Bhakti Yoga, he says that Bhakti Yoga, what is that verse? I think the Lord says, Bhakti Yogasha Yogasha Maya Manavi Udiritaha. Yayoho Ekatarenaiva. Out of this, if you follow one of it, Purushaha Purusham Rajet, you will attain the Supreme Lord. Bhakti Yogasha Yogasha Maya Manavi Udir. So he has said two processes. But here we follow Bhakti Yoga process. It is not possible the yogic process. Okay, so thank you so much, Mataji. And can I request other devotee to read next two paragraphs? Mrida Sachi Mataji, would you like to read next two paragraphs?
Hare Krishna Roji.
If possible.
5,000 years ago, Lord Krishna recommended yoga practice to Arjuna. But Arjuna frankly expressed his inability to follow the strict rules and regulation of the yoga system. One should be very practical in every field of activities and should not waste his valuable time in practicing useless gymnastic feats in the name of yoga. Real yoga is to search out the four-handed super soul within one's heart and see him perpetually in meditation. Such continued meditation is called a samadhi, and the object of this meditation is the four-handed Narayan, with the bodily decoration as described in this chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. If, however, one wants to meditate upon something void or impersonal, it will take a very long time before he achieves success in yoga practice. We cannot concentrate our mind on something void or impersonal. Real yoga is to fix the mind on the form of the Lord, the four-handed Narayan who is sitting in everyone's heart. By meditation, one can understand that God is seated within one heart. Even if one does not know it, God is seated within the heart of everyone. Not only is He seated in the heart of human being, but He is also within the heart of cats and dogs. Bhagavad Gita certifies this fact by the declaration of the Lord. Iswara Sarva Bhutanam Hriday. They say the Iswara, the supreme controller of the world, is seated in the heart of everyone. Not only is he in everyone's heart, but he is also present within the atom. No place is vacant or devoid of the presence of the Lord. That is the statement of Isopanishad. God is present everywhere
and his right of prophetorship applies to everything. The feature of the Lord by which he is present everywhere is called the Paramatma. Atom means the individual soul. The Paramatma means the individual super soul. Both Atma and Paramatma are individual person. The difference between Atma and Paramatma is that the Atma or the soul is present only in a particular body, whereas the Paramatma is present everywhere. In this connection, the example of the sun is very nice. An individual person may be situated in one place, but the sun even and through the sun even those a similar individual entity is present on the head of every individual person. In Bhagavad Gita, this is explained. Therefore, even though the qualities of all entities, including the Lord, are equal, the super soul is different from the individual soul by a quantitative power of expansion. The Lord or the supreme soul can expand himself into millions of the different forms where the individual soul cannot do so. Hare Krishna Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhuji, you are in mute.
Oh, apologies, Mataji. Sorry, I was speaking on the mute. Thank you so much, Mataji. Um, okay, so here in this paragraph, Prabhupada is explaining again the yogic process to meditate on the four-handed form of Narayana. And then further, this is the four-handed form of Narayana who is sitting in everyone's heart as the super soul. That is the form many people they call Paramatma, and they meditate on that. So when some people when they are before reciting Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Om Paramatmaye Namaha, likewise they say they come to only Paramatma. But here Krishna is directly the person who is speaking Bhagavad Gita. And Paramatma feature is the expansion of the Bhagavan. So here this is the second level of yogi who meditate on the four-handed form of Narayana in the heart, who is in the heart as a super soul form. Okay, so next one is Prabhupada is mentioning about this describing the describing the individual soul and the super soul. Individual soul is only existing within the individual body, whereas the Lord is existing in all the bodies. That is, who understands that Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Swapake Cha Panditaha Samadarshinaha. They see the Lord in all the living entities. That is, Shuni Chaiva Panditaha Samadarshinaha, who is the learned person. And that is this is Achincha Bheda and Abheda Tattva. Prabhupada is explaining. So the qualitatively they are equal, but from quantitative perspective, the Lord is infinite. We are infinitesimal. And giving the example that explaining that the sun and we can perceive people in one particular place in a country. On top of their head, if they see the sun, and the same country, if you come to the different portion of the country, they also see the same percentage of it as the sun. They see the sun on the top of their head, but the two individual souls, they cannot see each other, but sun can see all the living entities. So that is the good example Prabhupada is giving here. Okay, so can I request other devotee take a turn and read next two paragraphs, please?
Hare Krishna Prabhupada.
Yes, Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna. The super soul being seated in everyone's heart can witness everyone's activities, past, present, and future. In the Upanishads, the super soul is described as being seated with the individual soul as friends and with witness. As a friend, the Lord is always anxious to get back his friend, the individual soul, and bring him back home, back to Godhead. As a witness, he is the bestower of all benedictions, and he endows each individual with the result of his action. The super soul gives the individual soul all facilities to achieve whatever he desires to enjoy in this material world, suffering in a reaction to the living entity's propensity to try to lord it over the material world. But the Lord instructs his friend, the individual soul, who is also his son, to give up all other engagements and simply surrender unto him for uh, perpetual bliss and an eternal life full of knowledge. This is the last instruction of Bhagavad Gita, the most authorized and widely read book on all varieties of yoga. Thus, the last word Bhagavad Gita is the last word in the perfection of yoga. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that a person who is always absorbed in Krishna consciousness is the topmost yogi. What is Krishna consciousness? As the individual soul is present by his consciousness throughout his entire body, so the super soul of Paramatma is present throughout the whole creation by super consciousness. This super consciousness energy is imitated by the individual soul, who is limited consciousness. I can understand what is going on within my limited body, but I cannot feel what is going on in another's body. I am present throughout my body by my consciousness, but my consciousness is not present in another's body. The super soul or Paramatma, however, being present everywhere and within everyone, is also conscious of everyone's existence. The theory that the soul and the super soul are one is not acceptable because it is not confirmed by authoritative Vedic literature. The individual soul's consciousness cannot act in super consciousness. This super consciousness can be achieved, however, by devoting individual consciousness with the consciousness of the Supreme. This devoteeing process is called surrender or Krishna consciousness. From the teaching of Bhagavad Gita, we learn very clearly that Arjuna in the beginning did not want to fight with his brothers and relatives, but after understanding Bhagavad Gita, he devoted his consciousness with the super consciousness of Krishna. He was then in Krishna consciousness.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So here, this is the Kshetra Jnanam. So this is the Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. So Krishna says that one. Body is the Kshetra, sarva kshetreshu bharata vidhi me, and know that I am existing in the all the bodies of the different living entities. So that is sarva kshetreshu bharata. And he is the tam jiva karma padivim anuvartamanaha. So then jnanam yad yetad avbodh jnanam yad yetad adat katamaha sadevaha traikalikam sirchireshu anuvattitamshaha tam jiva karma padivim anuvartamanaha tapatriyopshamanaya vayam bhajema. And here traikalikam sirchireshu anuvattitamshaham. So the Lord, He is always sees present, past, and future of the living entities. And Tam jiva karma padivim anuvartamanaha. He witnessed all the activities of the living entity. Tam jiva karma. He is the upadrashta, anumanta, cha bhatta, bhokta, maheshwaraha, parmatmedi chapyukto, purushaha, prakrute paraha. So this is mentioned again Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. And the living entity, when we are in the womb of the mother, the baby prays this one. Tam jiva karma padivim anvartamanaha tapatriyo yamanaya vayam bhajema. The baby prays to the Lord in such a way. You are witnessing all my activities, my dear Lord. Now, Drishyatnyayam, he says that you have given this human body, which is Sharirike Dhammashariri Aparha Swadehe. With this body, I can control the senses, but not with the other bodies. Disnyatyam Nanadhya, Disnyatyam Nanu Saptavadrihi. This body is covered by the 7 layers. This is the earth, water, fire, and then what is that one? A wind, and then space. On top of that, mind, intelligence, and ego. All these are 7 layers out there. This is the Saptavadrihi. But Sharirike Dhammashariri Aparaswadehe Yastrustayaham Tamaham Purusham Puranam. So I can see you inside and outside of the world, inside the body, outside the body. Yasturustayasam tamaham purusham puranam. You are the original personality of Godhead. I worship you. You know everything. Likewise, the baby in the womb, he prays to the Lord. So here, what is that one? And all, he has give up all the engagements and simply surrendered unto the Lord for perpetual bliss and eternal life, full of knowledge. So we have done these prayers in the womb of the mother, but as soon as we come onto this material world, and due to the hunger and thirst that is generated in the tummy, it makes us to eat something. To eat something, and we have to work. And as soon as we eat, again, this is the Budaravegam, and then what Budaravegam makes? It makes us to eat. As soon as we eat, Vopastavegam, it will go further, extend the sense gratifications, and then gradually entangle in this material world. This is called Yatropuyatum Upasarpati Deva Maya. As soon as we come into this material world, this Upasarpati Deva Maya, it will catch me. Oh, my dear Lord, I don't want to go out of this womb of mother. Garbha Nanidjigamishe Bahiranda Kope Yatropuyatum Upasarpati Deva Maya. This Maya will catch me. Mitya Materianu Samsriti Chakrametat. Mitya Materiadanu Samsriti Chakrametat. It will keep me again put into the cycle of birth, old age, disease, and death. So much of philosophy in the Bhagavatam, it explains in all angles. There is nothing, no angle where we can miss some point. It gives in all angles complete knowledge. And Prabhupada is explaining Bhagavad Gita. So one who is always absorbed in Krishna consciousness is the topmost yogi. This is yoginamapi sarvesha madghatenantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam samayukta tamo mataha. According to the Krishna statements like tasma sarveshu kareshu ma manusmaridhyacha. This is all the time one has to remember my names. Tasma sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmaridhyacha mayyarpita manobuddhir mam ye vaishati asamsayaha. You always give your intelligence, mano, buddhi, and all your activities onto me only, not anything else. This is Krishna's demand. One has to do that to come to that point. That such samahatma sudarlabha, such kind of souls are very rare. Who understands Vasudeva Sarvamiti, samahatma sudarlabha. So this is the Krishna's super consciousness energy is imitated by individual soul who has limited consciousness. I can understand that what is going on within my limited body, but I cannot feel what is going on in another's body. This is the limit of the individual soul. We cannot understand other person's activities and the heart of other people's mind, or what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and what they wanted to do. We do not understand, but the Lord knows everything. And then, so dovetailing all our activities and our mind intelligence in Krishna's intelligence. Whenever we are thinking, is this Krishna asked me to think about when we are planning something with our intelligence? Is this Krishna asked me to do with using my intelligence? And then when we are performing any activities, is this what Krishna is asking me to do? And when we are speaking, is this the way Krishna told me to speak like that? And when we are thinking, is this the way Krishna is asking me to think? These kind of things, dovetailing individual consciousness with the consciousness of the Supreme. Every moment we have to check, is this the Krishna's desire? Krishna says, Anudvekakaram Vakyam, Satyam Priyahitam Chayat. All the time we have to speak very nicely, politely, Anudvekakaram Vakyam, very pleasing, Satyam, always truthful, Priyahitam, always beneficial to the others. Maunam sadasana jaiha stadium, and also maunam, one has to be keep himself in the composure. Mind needs to be always the steady, not to think unnecessary things. There are many things come and put up ourselves into different situations. That also Krishna says, who controls that mind? Whenever it is Atma Buddhi Prasadajam, when the mind is completely composed, Atma Buddhi Prasadajam, he will be able to understand the soul, knowledge of the soul and the super soul, controlling the mind and then speaking and activities. That is called Krishna consciousness. From the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, we learn very clearly that Arjuna is the beginning. He did not want to fight with his brothers and relatives. After understanding Bhagavad Gita, he dovetailed his consciousness with the super consciousness of Krishna. He was then Krishna consciousness. Okay, can I request Asha Mataji to read next two paragraphs, please?
From a person, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji, please.
A person is full Krishna consciousness acts by the dictation of Krishna. In the beginning of Krishna consciousness, dictation is received through the transparent medium of the spiritual master. When one is sufficiently trained and acts in submissive faith and love for Krishna under the dictation of the bona fide spiritual master, the devoteeing process becomes more firm and accurate. This stage of devotional service by the devotee in Krishna consciousness is the most perfect stage of the yoga system. At this stage, Krishna, or the super soul, dictates from within, while from without the devotee is helped by the spiritual master, who is the bona fide representative of Krishna. From within, he helps the devotee as Chaitya, for he is seated within the heart of everyone. Understanding that God is seated within everyone's heart is not, however, sufficient. One has to be acquainted with God from both within and without, and one must take dictation from within and without to act in Krishna consciousness. This is the highest perfectional stage of the human form of life and the topmost perfection of all yoga. Uh, for, for a perfect yoga, there are 8 kinds of super achievements. One can become lighter than air, one can become smaller than the atom, one can become bigger than the mountain, one can achieve whatever he desires, one can control the Lord, and so on. But when one rises to the perfectional stage of receiving dictation from the Lord, that is the greater than any stage of material achievement above mentioned. The breathing exercise of yoga system, which is generally practiced, is just the beginning. Meditation on the super soul is just another step forward. But to obtain direct contact with the super soul and take the dictation from him is the highest perfection stage. The breathing exercise of meditation practice were very difficult even 5,000 years ago. Otherwise, Arjuna would not have rejected the proposal of Krishna that he adopt this system. This age of Kali is called the fallen age. In this age, people in general are short living and very slow to understand self realization of spiritual life. They are mostly unfortunate, and therefore, if someone is little bit interested in self realization, he is likely to be misguided by so many frauds. The only way to realize the perfect stage of yoga is to follow the principles of Bhagavad Gita as practiced by Lord Chaitanya. This is the simplest and highest perfection of yoga practice. Lord Chaitanya demonstrated this Krishna consciousness yoga system in a practical manner simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, as prescribed in the Vedanta, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and many important Puranas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So this is again, and the Krishna, he gives the intelligence for a living entity or conditioned soul who is trying in Krishna consciousness. तेषां येवानुकम्पार्थम् अहम् अज्ञानजं तमः नाशयामि आत्मभावस्तु. He gives nashayami atmabhavastu. So aham ajnanajam tamaha. So this he gives that intelligence. Tesham eva anukampadam, by the mercy of the Lord, towards the living entity. So this is, and the Lord, that is called, what we need to do is we need to change all our desires, all our activities, all our speaking only to Krishna. That is the only our desire. Only we can do is the desire. We need to desire it. Everything will be arranged by the material nature. This is the Prakritehe karmani gunaihi karmani sarvashaha. They will root the living entity towards Krishna. What we need to do? Simply desire. Everything will be arranged automatically. Karmana daivanetrena. Though we may not be completing this Krishna consciousness in this life, at least in the soon after, we will attain that one. Karmana daivanetrena jantuhu deha upapatyate. And we may be taking birth in the devotional devotees family, and then we finish in the very soon. In the eternity of the time, this is not very big, but as we have got little intelligence, now we are chanting. This is the perfection of Krishna consciousness movement, or perfection of human life. This is the highest perfectional stage of the human form of life and topmost perfection of all yoga. And then later on, Prabhupada mentioning about the giving some meditation on the again Lord and the super form. It is the very difficult in this age of Kali. So we have got a Kirtanadev Krishnasya Mukta Param Vraje Kali Dosha Nide Rajan. Kalihi Dosha Nide Rajan. It is the Nide Dosha. This is the full of faults. But Astihi Eko Mahan Gunaha. But there is one good quality. Kirtanadeva Krishnasya Mukta Sangaha Param Vraje. Just glorify Krishna and then go back to the Krishna's abode. How easy it is. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu practically explained from the Bhagavad Gita, and he has followed, and everyone has taken, many people have taken that instructions and attaining the path very easily. But many people, conditioned souls, are still bewildered. Okay, so and then there are a few lines. I shall finish the rest of it. The largest number of Indians follow this yoga process, and in the United States, it is gradually spreading in many cities
It is very easy and practical for this age, especially for those who are serious about the success in yoga. No other process of yoga can be successful in this age. The meditation process was possible in the golden age, Satyuga, because the people in that age used to live for hundreds of thousands of years. If one wants success in practical yoga practice, it is advised that he take to the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And he will actually feel himself making progress. In the Bhagavad Gita, this practice of Krishna consciousness is prescribed as Rajavidya, or the king of all education. Those who have taken to this most sublime Bhakti Yoga system, who practice devotional service in transcendental love of Krishna, can testify to its happy and easy execution. The four sages, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, and Sanat Kumara, also became attracted by the features of the Lord and the transcendental aroma of the dust of his lotus feet, as already described in the verse 43. Yoga necessity is controlling the senses, and Bhakti Yoga or Krishna consciousness is the process of purifying the senses. When the senses are purified, they are automatically controlled. One cannot stop the activities of the senses by artificial means. But if one purifies the senses by engaging in the service of the Lord, the senses not only can be controlled from rubbish engagement, but can be engaged in the Lord's transcendental service, as aspired to by the four sages Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, and Sanat Kumara. Krishna consciousness, Krishna consciousness is not therefore a manufactured concoction of the speculative mind. It is the process enjoined in the Bhagavad Gita 9.34. Manmana bhava mad bhakto mad jhaji mam namaskuru. Okay, so mam evaishasi yuktayavam atmanam matparayanaha. So this is the Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It is a long purport, and Prabhupada is again here asking us to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra all the time and make ourselves perfect. And this is Iti Shodashakam Namnam Kalikalmashanashikam Natah Paratah Upayah Sarvavedeshu Drishyate Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Nama Iva Kelam Kalau Nastyeva 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 Gatiranyada. So this is mentioned everywhere. That's why chanting is prescribed. And here Kumaras, they became the devotees of the Lord, and then they glorify his pastimes. And when they are returning from the Vaikunta, Pratyagmuhu Premitaha Shamshamto Vaishnavim Shriyam. They glorify the glories of the devotees of the Lord. When Jaya and Vijaya, they were cursed, and also the Lord has showed mercy on them. And then Kumaras understood we are just acting as a instrument. At the time they glorify Bhagavantam Parikramya Pranipatchanu Manyacha Pratyagmuhu Premitaha Shamshanto Vaishnavim Shriyam. Vaishnavim Shriyam. The glories of the Vaishnavas are unlimited. Likewise, Kumaras are speaking and remembering the pastimes of the Lord, and then they returned. So here Prabhupada is explaining one has to chant. The simple process is Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru, as easy as that. Instead of following so many of things to control the senses. Okay, there are so much of things, but that we are time limited. Very long purport, very beautiful and good messages here to take. It will go forever to discuss. But okay, so here Brahma is saying to the demigods. This is the last verse that Brahma is saying here about the personality of Godhead. So this is Pumsam Gatim Mrigatayamiha Yoga Margaihi Dhyanaspasam Bahumatam Nayanabhiramam Paumsnam Bopu Darshayanam Ananyasiddhaihi Outpattikaihi Samagrunan Yutamasta Bhogaihi. The Lord with all his opulences, he is situated in the Vaikunta planets. And whoever goes there, they can see directly face to face. But yogis, they experience in the heart a partial realization. But devotees, they practice going to the temple, worshipping the Lord in different ways, and they worship in that home, having the deity form of the Krishna and Radha Mata, and they worship, and that way they absorb in the form of the Krishna.
and the Lord Supreme Personality of Godhead. But as soon as they leave this material body, then they enter into the Vaikunta planet. There they see them directly face to face. That is, Paumsnam Vapurdarshanam Ananya Siddhaihi Outpattikaihi Samagunan Yatmasta Bhogaihi. So the Lord is having all his with all his opulences, he enjoys with his devotees. That is the this is the Lord's Vaikunta. Okay, so this is from Srimad Bhagavatam. I stop here. Sorry, it took a couple of minutes more because the purport is very long. But dear devotees, if you have got any questions, kindly ask. If you wanted to share anything, kindly share. Anything.
Thank you, Suresh.
Krishna.
Sometimes one cannot get chance to read
Sorry, Mataji.
Bhagavatam. But if they chant, simply chant, they can get the perfection.
Yes. Simply chanting, one can attain the perfection of human life. These words.
Reading or any literature or anything.
Sorry, Mata, your voice is a bit low.
Sorry, without reading any literature or without reading any script, like books or anything, still they can get.
Yes. But one thing, why we need the literature means to enter into the different rasas, to experience the Lord. Because simply absorbing in Krishna consciousness by chanting, that is perfect. As long as I don't engage myself in working and doing many other materialistic things. But when we are going to the work and engaging in the living in the society at the time, we need the literatures. Why? Because if I am drinking water, I'm doing some materialist activity, then immediately I perceive. For example, if I see a spider, immediately when I see a spider, I remember the Lord. Lord creates and maintains and he destroys just like the spider. And then I don't kill the spider. And if I go to the fish, Lord has taken the form of the fish in the Matsyavatara. Immediately I remember pastime of the Krishna. If I go to somewhere else and seeing the drinking water, the water is the taste of Krishna. So every aspect we see Krishna. That is why we needed the scriptures. We perceive in the society while we are living in this material world, in every dimension we see Krishna only. And if I am speaking to with enemy or a friend or anyone else, we see Krishna because Guhasayeva Nadeha Malini. We are dealing with the Lord, not with the material bodies. Someone is acting as a friend, someone is acting as an enemy, but on the bodily level, but we see as the soul. And what it means to me, it is someone is acting, this is not, they are not my enemy. It is just they are acting foolishly on the bodily level. We do not want to take revenge. Ma avatit daivadat bhavadvidaha. And whenever such kind of people, dhuruktihi, with the harsh words are speaking to us, by we should not say a single word to them, no counteractions, because ma avadit Daivadat Bhavidvidaha. And Brahma says to Lord Shankara, when Lord Shankara, he has punished the demigods, or the Brahmanas, or whoever is performing in the Daksha Yajna, and Daksha, and the Posha, Bhaga, and these were punished by the Lord Shankara. At that time, Brahma says to Shiva, saying that, oh Shiva, you have punished these people, but a learned person who is the devotee of the Lord, they sees that if anyone are using their harsh words by their activities, they're already destined to, they're punished by the Daiva Vadat, punished by the Daiva, divine arrangement. So ma avadit, one should not punish them. Learned person should not take any counteraction towards it. Ma avadit daivadat bhavidvidaha. Likewise, Brahma says, of course, later on, Lord Shankara says that I did not, these are all bala, just like a children, these demigods, they acted like that. But I never take those as a serious thing. But in order to give the lessons, I have just punished, I have chastised them by these activities, likewise, Lord Shankara says. So, but here, when we are living in the society, we need the scriptural injunctions. Having this knowledge, we can go anywhere, even though live among the demons, and still we maintain that purification. But when we have chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantras, having the scriptures, we can live anywhere. Otherwise, if you are in the pure place, just simply chanting is sufficient.
Where you are, like, okay, some yogi do this meditation, and just they can still attend, isn't without any doing it.
Yes, yes, Mataji. So the yogis sit in a secluded place and they perform controlling the senses. They do it. But they do not have the scriptures to study and everything else. Of course, they have got the process learned by their spiritual master how to practice the yoga. But there he has to go through so much of austerities and penances if he's sitting in a forest. And one should be very brave enough as well. There are so many animals are there. For example, um, in the Kailasa mountain or Himalaya mountains, if we go there, there are so many animals are there. Mrugaihi, Saka, Mrugaihi, Krodaihi, Mrugendraihi, Mrugendraihi, Sarabaihi, Rukshasalyakaihi, Gavayaihi, Sarabaihi, Vyagraihi, Rurubihi, Mahishadibihi, Karnandrekapad Aswasaihi. So many people they may come and disturb us, but we do not know what is going to be happen to me. And also one has to find such kind of place, secluded place, and which is safe environment to perform this yogic process. And it needs to be auspicious. And also generally people used to go to the Ganges rivers or something where the water is flowing at least for their to cleanse their body 3 times a day and perform all these things. But is it that much easy to follow all those things? We hardly find. We have never got a chance to go out of the town. So when I was child, I used to go to the forest to get some firewood, and I used to see there are so many things, the thorny bushes, and even if you find some rock shelter there, we may see some kind of python may come and swallow us, and it will sit there. But there are so many things, the foxes, the wolves, tigers, many other things are also there. But it is not always all the time safe. And if some demoniac people comes, if there are carnivores are there, no one knows. What about the safety of the person? So that's why in this age of Kali, of course, in the previous ages, the people were all also powerful. They know the mantras, many mantras, and also if one has to sit on the skin of a deer skin or tiger skin, and sitting on the dharba and sitting in a proper postures, they can do it. By having that kind of thing, snakes may not be coming too nearer to the person, yogi person, when he is performing. But do we get the deer skin? And also do we accumulate those things and to perform those things? It is not that much easy for us to go through that process. So while we are engaging ourselves in chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and among the devotees association, reading the scriptures or listening, at least listening, we understand in every aspect of the spiritual realization. And that is satam prasangan mama veer samvido bhavanti hrutkana rasayana kataha tajjoshanad as apavargavatmani shraddha ratihi bhakti anukramishati. That way one will absorb. In due course of time, we will see the end of our life. That is as soon as the days are, when we are getting older and older, we feel so much of happy because when we get retired from the materialistic activities, we feel so much of happy. And because we wanted to spend all the time for Krishna only. And as soon as many people are rejecting us, we feel very happy because no one wanted us. And we give all our time for Krishna. That way, every moment and whereas the materialistic people, when they're getting older, if they get disease, when they're getting nearer to death, every moment they are very fearful, afraid of the Yamadutas. And as soon as Yamadutas are tada prapto Yamadutau, they are Bhimo Sarabas Ikshanau, Trasta, uh, Drashta, Trasta Hrudayaha, Chakrut Mutram Vimunchati. By looking at this fearful form of the Yamadutas, one will immediately Chakrut Mutram Vimunchati, he will pass the urine and stool, and then he will die. He will be very fearful. Some people, when they're leaving their body, their eyes are very fearfully, they leave their body. Such kind of, we understand from the scripture that they are taken by the Yamadutas. They are the Sarabasa Ikshano. They are very angry. Yamadutas. Okay, so there is so much of things too. So when we are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra among the devotees association and engaging ourselves in the somewhere or other, hearing Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Achanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atma Nivedanam, all processes, they will make us to keep us in the perfect transcendental position. We never miss any uh, opportunity to take from the scriptures. So that's why we cover each and every word from all directions. Bhagavad Gita, we read everything. Bhagavatam, we read everything. And whatever Prabhupada, why he has given all these things, it is for us. We remember every the Sanskrit verses, they nourish the soul, understand us to make the relationship between us and the Lord, and they will keep on remembering in our smriti. In our smriti, they will all dwell. When we're sleeping, we remember only Radha Krishna. When we are acting, we still remember. And when we are doing some activities, immediately some verses may come and then we try to recite in the mind and then feel very happy. And this is dovetailing all our activities with Krishna conscious, Krishna. So that's why we need scriptures. Otherwise, all other people also doing it, but they will go to the temple and worship and then go back and engage themselves in the materialistic activities because they don't have the scriptural knowledge. What is the strength of the Hare Krishna movement? Is the Prabhupada's purports and translations, and these are very important. The knowledge. This is made us Prabhupada to go to the Western world and give that knowledge. But people who took the birth in the India, naturally, in the pious families, simply chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, they will attain. But we are in the material world, we're going to the office, work, and day to day, we are meeting so many of demonic people. We need this knowledge. It is kind of a sword to cut the ajnana. So here, even the small child will be equipped with lots of knowledge in the Krishna consciousness. Everyone, either knowingly or unknowingly, whoever is in Krishna consciousness, they have got the knowledge. At least minimum knowledge. They're the perfect. Then when Prabhupada asked how many people are there with complete knowledge and going in the perfection of human life, then Prabhupada was saying, how many people are there in the Krishna consciousness movement? So that we can understand Krishna consciousness movement, it is not that much easy. If whoever is coming here and staying and hearing Krishna Katha, it is not that much easy. It requires time, dedication, it requires sacrifice. People are not ready to do all these things by leaving the family aside. And someone wanted to go to the offices, someone want to spend time with the family, someone are forcibly pulled, even though they wanted to come to the Sangha, they cannot. But family members put so many restrictions. Don't go there, and you have to spend with us. Likewise, and they are doing all the nonsense things, but still they also wanted to pull us into materialistic things. That is the nature of material world. This is Maya. We need to be very balanced way. We need to give the time as well to the family and understanding their situation. Let them do what they are doing, and at the same time gradually give them the knowledge slowly in the way they can digest. We should not, a learned person should not bewilder them by giving Krishna consciousness as it is in the beginning stage itself. Slowly they will grasp slowly, but we need to tolerate. So while crossing so many things, impediments coming to Krishna consciousness, it is a challenging thing for all the conditioned souls. So getting into the knowledge is another thing. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bhakti. This whole purpose explain everything, isn't it? And everything is within that purpose.
Yes, the purpose is there is a
All
lot.
the knowledge and
Yes,
everything.
Mataji. Yeah, it may take a complete day or maybe so many days to describe, understand each and every line of Prabhupada's explanation in the purports and applying to the material activities. If I speak one line and then saying to explain that, what is that one? Pratigna, Hetu, Udaharana, Upanayana, and Nigamanam. So, first is this establish the statement and then give the reasons for it and then give the examples for it and bring the context everything so that support the statement which is established in the beginning and then show the proof from the scriptural injunctions, that is nigamanam. This is the complete way of to putting the subject in front of the audience, then people can understand easily. Otherwise, if I simply speak some statement saying that this is the said in the scriptures, but without references, I cannot convince. Without giving the examples, I may not convince. Without giving reasons, I may not convince. But a proper subject matter, when it is to be convinced, we need to put the statement, give the examples, reasons, and bring the entire context describing and relating to the main subject and show the examples from the scriptural point of view. Then it will be, all audience will grasp that matter very easily. That's why Prabhupada is giving this all the purports here. Okay, thank you so much, Mataji. Any other comments, dear devotees, you wanted to share? It's a very time is exceeding, but I really appreciate your time and also you're dedicated and hearing the Krishna Katha. Every moment we spend here, it is not wasted. You are giving to Krishna. Okay, if there are no updates, and no comments, no questions, then we shall conclude and continue with further japa. Okay. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
अनन्तकोटि
कोटि वैष्णववृन्दते जय।
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna consciously, everyone.
Happy Ekadasi. Thank you, Prabhu. Very much.
Everyone. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda